You're listening to Oilersnation Radio, presented by the Nation Network.
A little bit of Friday funk here coming.
Oh yeah, that's Carter and the Capitals, another local band. They just dropped a new track today called You're My Friend, featuring Stephanie French, another talented Edmonton artist, and they're going on tour this May, a little Western Canadian tour. So if you want more information, tour dates, check them out on social media. Carter and the Capitals.
Little Prince vibe there.
Yeah, man, he's a big Prince fan.
R.I.P.
Lead singer.
Wait, Prince is dead?
Welcome to last year.
Damn.
Wow.
That's too bad.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Oilers Nation Radio episode 30. Episode 30.
Milestone episode.
Today, we want to thank Sherwood Ford, the Giant, for helping make this all possible. Go ahead and follow them on Twitter at Sherwood Ford. If you're on Instagram, follow them at Sherwood Ford _ the Giant. Christopher, you were a guest at last night's game, courtesy of Sherwood Ford. How'd that go?
It was great. David, one of their marketing managers, took me out. Sherwood Ford has great seats to those games. Good for them. They do well. They were very...
Congratulations to Sherwood Ford for doing well.
It was a blast. It was a really fun game. Seats were great, as I mentioned.
Where were you sitting?
We were sitting in the section 103, rows 11, I think. So it was right in the middle. I've questioned myself for a long time. Would you rather have season seats like at the end of the ice so you can see one side more, or in the middle of the ice? And after last night, my answer is the middle of the ice.
Yeah, I think that personally, I would rather have the middle of the ice.
Yeah.
Get a good vantage point at both. I find when I sit behind the glass that you just miss stuff.
You get a really good idea of what the offensive zone setup is like and that kind of thing, but you also miss half the game.
Yeah.
So while what you see when you do see it is really good, you completely miss the other side of the ice, and you find yourself, your neck's like cocked upwards staring at the TV for like 30 minutes, which kind of sucks. So the middle is probably better.
I would say the middle's better unless you're right behind the glass. I sat in those seats during the playoffs a couple years ago, right on the glass behind the bench, and those are probably the worst place you can sit.
But you do get to hear crazy stuff. Then.
So you do. Yeah. You get to hear the bench and the chatter, and that's cool. But I found myself watching the TVs underneath the jumbotron.
You get a sore neck.
That's the thing about sitting there is there's so many distractions, so you're not watching a lot of the game anyways. Our seats were high enough above the bench that your view isn't blocked, but you can still see all the action on the bench and like what's going on. So I thought that was really cool.
I've only ever sat in the upper bowl.
You've never once been in the lower bowl?
No.
Really?
What?
Yeah.
You've never used like the...
I have my quarter season seats, and I'm up in the upper bowl, and I love the upper bowl. I think the upper bowl is a great.
Nothing's wrong with it. No, it's great.
Well, this is gonna sound bad because I'm like a half season ticket holder, maybe like a third kind of
weird flex,
right? Well, what I'm about to say, I spend way too much. I spend way too much for this. So all I'm gonna say, we're down in 134. So we're on the hash. We're on the bottom hash marks.
Give him a round of applause.
Thank you. We're on the bottom.
Dude, Dan comes out
marks.
here and he's like, "I love my quarter season tickets," and Rick's like, "I'm a half season ticket."
Well, I'm gonna tell.
And he's a half season.
All I'm gonna say
bowl.
is that, you know what? Even from my point of view, it's really good up until the puck goes into the far end on the same side of the boards. I can see everything, but there's a slice of pie there that I have to look up for.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, there's definitely better areas. Drink rail.
Love the drink rail.
They're perfect. It doesn't matter which level you are. Second deck though, sometimes there's like 3 or 4 seats in a little row, and like the top row, and those right there are perfect. You have like your own little your own little area. Wow. No one behind you. You got space up there. Those are perfect.
I think
you don't
best
have to look,
seats.
Yeah, sorry. I was just gonna say you don't have to look up at the jumbotron on the upper deck.
Best seats anywhere are standing room.
I love standing room too.
As a person with an attention span that lasts 2 seconds, and sitting still is a grind for me, standing room is the bomb. So you can just wander around, pace. That's ideal.
Do you prefer it to the drink rail here?
Yeah, the drink rail is fine too, because it's basically an ADD zone, because you can get up, but you still have a seat. But like when I go to baseball games in Toronto, I'm always, I buy a seat in the 500s and I'm always down at the flight deck. I stand up the whole time because I do not like sitting down.
Part of me also misses the gallery from Rexall Place.
Oh yeah, the gallery was so
The gallery was good, man. Like that's where the rowdy That's where the rowdies were. That's where I saw the weirdest shit happening at the arena. Was up in the gallery. I miss that. I love Rogers Place too. I'm a big fan of the escalator.
The escalator is kind of jarring.
So big.
Fear not, Bag Milk, because we are going to press level in Calgary.
No, Dan, I said escalator. I said escalator.
Oh, if you like heights.
In 2 weeks, I guess a week and a half now, or a week and a day,
A week-
we are
exactly a
going
week,
to
isn't it?
Calgary to close out the season. Little fan therapy roadie down to Calgary. We are going to have a hashtag good time. And what Dan is saying is that if you are coming on this trip with us, I encourage you to carb up before we get there because you are going to take a hike up to the press gallery level.
Bring a tent because you have to stop and make camp halfway up.
Bring oxygen too. Those
Make
tanks.
sure you have tips for the Sherpas that lead us up there. They're very kind people.
There's a lot of books out there that explain people's accounts of what it was like climbing Mount Everest. And they give advice like having tanks of oxygen and that kind of thing that'll make your endeavor up the incredibly steep slopes of the Saddle Dome much easier.
Cameron,
Yes.
last time we were at the Saddle Dome,
Yes.
you took a little tumble.
I did. So
Well, did you take a tumbler or were you shoved by a Flames
was
fan?
I shoved by an inside job? As we know, back when we were in Calgary last time in November, we didn't know that Jay the Squire was a Calgary Flames fan. We thought he was one of us. And I got up to cheer. Alex Chiazon scored a shorthanded goal. It was exciting. That's when he was the answer. And I fell down. And now, looking back in hindsight, knowing that Jay is a avid member of the Calgary Flames fan club, there's a very good chance that he was so angry that the Oilers scored a goal against his beloved Flames that he pushed me down 5 rows of seats.
If you want to get a ticket to this trip to Calgary, there's still a couple of rooms available. We're running out. If you're already in Calgary, there's also a link there. Go to backsideTours.com. They've got everything you need up on their homepage, including a ticket link for you folks that are living behind enemy lines. I encourage you to join us. We always have a good time. We get a little bit silly. It's a long day of drinking.
It's never a bad time though.
Chris already sounds burnt out from it.
The
It's a week
Saddle
away and
the
he's
Saddle
tired.
Dome is our second home now. I feel like we've done this
Whoa.
trip.
No. But
No,
like,
we
don't do that.
We go there so often.
You know what's my second home at the Saddle Dome? The Alumni Lounge, and that's where I plan on sneaking into again because your security sucks and you will not stop me.
My favorite part of the Saddle Dome is when we leave.
My favorite part of the Saddle Dome is their large collection of shovels that is shrinking.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, one for one. You've been
One
doing
for one, and then I
trades.
took another one. We don't know where it is now. I think Backside still has it in there. Maybe
What
in
if
their
Backside
bus.
surprises us? with
Yeah,
it?
if Backside gave me the shovel back and I could sneak in another one, and I could go 2 for 2 and sneaking in shovels, then that'd be cool.
that'd be
I don't-
great.
I don't know if they still have it. Maybe I'll just bring my own shovel from home and give it to them.
Yeah, maybe like a one of those little hand spades that you use for planting flowers or something. No, it's summer's coming, right? Last night there was an Oilers game. Unfortunately, it did not end the way we wanted. Anton Khudobin stood on his head. Oilers outshot the Dallas Stars by a 2-1 margin. Still ended up losing the shootout. Sucks.
Of course,
Alex-
he failed us.
Alex Chiasson shot a field goal.
My goodness.
We'll
Alex
talk about that in a
Chiasson.
minute. What I want to
Wow.
get to first is Leon Draisaitl hit 100 points last night, 47 goals. Anybody surprised that it was Connor to Leon and in? Or I guess Nugent was involved in the mix too. The big three getting in on that 100th point. Anybody surprised by that?
They were
I mean-
so happy. Their reactions, they knew what happened, and Connor was like looking for Leon the whole time, and just their smiles on their faces were awesome.
So Draisaitl hit 100 points last night. McDavid's already there. That makes McDavid and Draisaitl the first Oilers teammates to have 100 plus points since 1989.
Jimmy Carter.
Yes, I wrote an article today for OilersNation.com. Go read that, where I said it was Jimmy Carter, not Jimmy Carson, that was involved in that 100-point season. So I want to congratulate the former president for still kicking it at 94. He builds houses. He was a peanut farmer. He also got 100 points.
And he was the first ever president of the United States to be born in a hospital.
Congratulations to Jimmy Carter on an excellent career.
He did it.
And Yari Curry was the second. The last time this happened in the NHL was with the Washington Capitals back in 2010 when Backstrom and Ovi did it.
And Bag Milk, what did that team finish? How did that team do?
Did they get shellacked?
I think they were the
don't
presidents. I think they were the President Trophy winner that year.
That was the team that got shellacked, right? That
Yeah,
was the team
I
that
believe
lost
so.
7 games to Montreal and shellacked
Yeah.
made 9,000 saves in 4 games or something.
So what I think Dan is saying is that the Oilers are closing in on a President's Trophy here. Surely, if you have 2
Correct.
teammates with 100+ points, Nuge hit 65 last night.
Which just keeps racking up his career best.
The question I have for you guys is, seeing 2 players hit 100 points, does that make you feel positive heading into the summer, the offseason, next season, or is it just another kick to the pills that the Oilers should be ahead of where they're currently at?
It's a positive current, but going into the summer, yeah, no, it's frustrating that this team is just scratching at the surface of. I mean, we're gonna be mathematically eliminated in April, which is a positive, but also a negative because we shouldn't be at this point right now.
It's also the one thing I find that's a little disappointing about it is they both had such good seasons, and can you go into 2019-20 expecting Leon to score 50 and 105 points or whatever he's going to end up doing again this year?
Why wouldn't you?
I mean, he's shooting like 25%. I don't know if you can replicate that.
Look, you know what? It sucks that we are where we are, but the reason we are where we are is gone. He's been gone for a month, maybe more, maybe less. I really don't remember. I was drinking a lot that night. It was a big win for me. A lot of celebrating that night, but he's gone. That negativity is over. I understand that it's still 12 out of 13. I get where everyone's coming from. I've been fully invested in this team since 1981. I get it. It hurts just as bad, but there is a lot of bright spots on this team. Look at those 3 players. Look at your defense. Look who's coming out of Bakersfield that's going to push for spots on defense. We're going to be forced to start moving younger players to bring in just because we have too many players in that spot. We get a proper GM in here. There's a couple moves he has to make right away, trying to get out of some money, but it's not impossible. This can be fixed. We will be in the playoffs next year.
This sounds like a stump speech from an election year. That was amazing.
I have an announcement to make of positivity.
Okay, here comes another stump speech.
Pivoting.
Listen to this.
Give him a sec. He's got it written down.
I did like real quick research, so I'm like 90% positive this is accurate. In the 1989,
The other 10% is up to you for interpretation. Go ahead, Chris.
in the 1989-90 season, the Pittsburgh Penguins had both Paul Coffey and Mario Lemieux, who put up over 100 points each. They didn't make the playoffs. The very next season, they won the Stanley Cup.
This is the 3rd time in NHL history that 2 teammates have scored 100 points in a season and then not made the playoffs.
The Lemieux Penguins are the place to look when you want to be optimistic about McDavid, because everyone says it's impossible to waste McDavid's talent. No other player that good ever misses the playoffs. But you look back at Lemieux's career and, it took him like 7 years for that Penguins team to be good. So, I mean, it's not impossible for the Oilers to make.
It's been done before, and that's all we should remember.
So Mario Lemieux missed the playoffs 5 of his first 6 seasons with the Pittsburgh Penguins.
And then
Joe
won.
Sakic also had a run. I'll look that up in a second. Joe Sakic also had a run where he missed the playoffs a bunch early in his career as well. Nobody looking at it. He missed 5 of 6 as well when he first came into the league.
And this was also
Northeast.
back in the league when like 90% of the teams were in the playoffs.
That's right.
So it's more difficult to make the playoffs now. I mean, compared to Major League Baseball, it's easy. I have to say that. In the NHL, 16 teams, just got to get that in there. I know Chris told me before the podcast he wanted to make sure that I could get in some baseball talk. He was
That's the
excited
opposite
yesterday.
of
It
what
was
I said.
opening day. Yeah, that's what
He
he
wanted
wanted.
to hear Blue Jays.
But the fact is that missing the playoffs in the NHL in this day and age is less bad than missing it in the 80s. So I think there's reason to be optimistic, given looking at the Penguins, that the Oilers could take a big step next year.
I think, like Rick said, I think the goal should be to try and clear some space. There's some options I feel like that need to go. We already know that Tobias Reeder is not being re-signed. The CEO let us know that, which is his general job. I know you're listening. I know. If they could manage to somehow get rid of Lucic's contract, that $8 million, give or take your math on a guy like Chris Russell, that would be another $4 million. I could see him being back either way.
Do you think this offseason is when they seriously take a look at buying out like half of his contract and trading him?
Lucic?
Yeah.
The problem with buying out his contract is that it doesn't save a whole lot of money for the way that Pistol Pete put it together. He gets insane bonuses. So the options really are, you're probably going to have to throw in a sweetener. I hate to say it, but a guy like Jesse Puljujärvi to move it, a first round pick to move it. You're going to have to do something like that to move that because nobody wants it.
You can also wait because we remember, like we've talked about before, we have a lockout coming up pretty soon here. CBA is going to expire right away. There's a good chance we're going to get a compliance buyout with that lockout. It's a fair chance, just like last time. If you get one of those, then you can rid yourself of Lucic, no problem.
Of course, compliance buyouts brought to you by our friends at Sherwood Ford the Giant. They want you to have a great deal no matter what your walk of life, whether you're running an NHL team and you have to get cap compliant, or if you're looking for a new F-350, which the boys went out and drove this past week. That thing is a monster truck. Go check them out, Sherwood Ford. Head on out to Sherwood Park, Alberta, to see our friends at Sherwood Ford. Follow them on Twitter at Sherwood Ford, on Instagram at Sherwood_Ford_the Giant.
Quickly, Sherwood Ford has a cool social media contest going on right now. What Bag Milk just said their handles were. They're giving away, they have 10 pairs of tickets to the Edmonton Motor Show next weekend. So you just have to find the contest posts on all 3 of their platforms. We've got it on our platforms too, so you have 6 opportunities to enter. You got to tag them, like them, tag a friend, the usual contest details, but they're giving away some tickets, so check them out.
That's a very good chance to win, unless you don't have friends. Then, in which case, go out and make some friends. Tag them in it.
Yeah.
Friendly reminder, our social tag right now is at Oilersnation Alt.
Yes, hashtag Free Oilers Nation. We are still in Twitter jail. Jack will not get back to me. Jack is avoiding me.
Jack.
He's avoiding my appeals, my calls, my emails, my tweets. Use the Free Oilers Nation hashtag. Help us out. Help us get out of jail. Until then, Oilers Nation Alt. Though we were talking about the other day, we might switch those handles around. Get rid of the Alt, put it back in Oilers Nation 2. We'll just switch those handles. You know what I mean?
Do a little switcheroo.
Little switcheroo. We'll talk about that. Earlier on, I touched on very quickly Ryan Nugent-Hopkins hitting 65 points for the first time in his career. He got the assist on Draisaitl's 100th last night. I want to talk about the absurd springtime tradition that all the local media, well, not all, I shouldn't say all, that's unfair. Some local media like to bring up where they decide that they are going to trade Ryan Nugent-Hopkins for player X. And I'm curious what you guys think about this. I think it's absurd. However, I'm incredibly biased. I'm a card-carrying member and president of the Ryan Nugent-Hopkins fan club. I've been a founding member since 2011. I think the idea of trading him is absurd. The guy is 25 years old and he's only getting better. Why are we doing this, Cam? You wrote about the Ristolainen rumors from last week. Why is this happening?
Well, I mean, the Oilers do, as we know, have a big need on the blue line. They have guys that are good, right? Like you have, your Sekera, your Larson, your Clefbaum. They do their thing, but what they sorely lack is a really good guy on the power play. And for all of Ristolainen's warts and inadequacies as a player, he is quite good on the power play. He has a good shot. He moves the puck well, but that pretty much ends what he does well. And I think Oilers fans and the media tends to do this too, gets tunnel vision. When you see a player's name you recognize and they do one thing well, you think about how much it would work if you have them here. And now everyone's just really excited about the idea of this 1-for-1 trade, Nugent-Hopkins for Ristolainen, which in my opinion would be Hull for Larson-esque bad.
Look, I get why everyone wants to look at Nuge and think that's what you got to do to move in that guy, but we don't have to move. Like, first of all, the hole you're going to create when you move someone like Nuge, you're just going to have to fix again anyway. So really, it's shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah, who becomes
get
your
over
third
that?
best
Get
forward
over
if
that.
he's
You
gone?
don't need to do that. First of all, when it comes to that right-handed defenseman, Ethan Bear is knocking on the door and might be ready to go next year. You can use a defenseman who plays third line minutes, 5-on-5, who can play on the power play. You've got Connor, you've got Leon, you got Nuge. You have a lot of guys out there already, so you don't need to go out and get this number one defenseman like that. Yes, you need a number one defenseman on the team, and I think we might have one in Bush, but that's going to be a couple of years away. I don't go and spend a guy like Nugent-Hopkins to try and fix that hole. That hole you can kind of band-aid for a little while. The biggest issue on this team is that we don't have enough scoring depth. defense is fine right now. And I know it's not great. And I'd love to get out of the Russell contract and bring up a Bear, a Jones, a Lagesson. Doesn't matter. You can bring up anybody in that spot. But let's get out of there. We need to focus on scoring goals. Scoring goals. Keep the puck in that end, and everything else will kind of fix itself afterwards.
I'm annoyed that we're even talking about this because I think it was Jim Matheson sent the first tweet about the Ristolainen rumor, and I'm pretty sure he was the only media member that did it.
Mark Spector had a couple days before, he said, well, and this one is the one that drives me crazy. And, you know, we've hung out with Spec a bunch of times, and he's a super reasonable guy, so I don't understand whether he's just, he's doing it for the clicks, which I get. We all need them page views. But like 3 weeks, I guess a month ago now, he wrote that Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is a piece that you can build your team around. Connor, Leon, Nuge, you're set down the middle. You can bundle two of them up on one line. You can do any combination that you want with those three guys, and you're going to have some success. Fast forward to what the Oilers need to do in the offseason. He's saying, I'm packaging up Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Adam Larson to try and get something, get an upgrade. Like, what are we talking about? When do you see the very successful teams, the ones that win, the ones that are competing every year, when do you see them draft players, develop them until they're finally turning into what you hope they would be, which I feel like Nuge is doing right now, only to trade them? That's only an Edmonton thing. That's only an Edmonton.
This would also be, if we're actually going with the Ristolainen thing, this would be another example of trading a high value player that we have for a low value player somewhere else. Well, and Ristolainen right now is only a minus 45 on the season. I mean, plus minus is bullshit largely, but I mean, good Lord, minus 45.
And to put it another way, if Ristolainen is a number one defenseman for the Buffalo Sabres, why would they get rid of him?
Yeah, exactly. Because they went out and they got Brandon Montour for a mid-first round pick, and now they want to move Ristolainen. So what does that say about Ristolainen?
Exactly. Like, you don't see Tampa Bay rushing out to move Hedman. It just doesn't happen. If you have a number one defenseman, you're not moving them unless you're Bergevin or something and you don't like PK Subban's shtick. Like, I don't get it. I just don't understand it. Another thing I want to bring up from last night, we touched on Connor getting an assist on Leon's 100th. Connor went out and got himself a ridiculous goal for his 40th. He went through the legs, top shelf, absolutely absurd. I ripped a hole clean through the front of me trousers. It lasted 4 hours. I consulted a doctor. He looked at it and he's like, "Is that a McBoner?" And I said, "Yeah." And he's like, "You're okay."
I've seen 12 people with McBoners today.
They're everywhere. Talarac's aplenty around the city today. What I want to know is, was this Connor's nicest goal? And first off, I want to lead off with Chris because he had a very interesting critique of what happened last night. Chris, go ahead.
So I'm not taking away anything from Connor's goal. Obviously,
yes,
don't preface it. Just go.
Yes, you are.
This is in terms of his career best goals, and I'm ranking it as number 2 behind Columbus. The reason being is the form on the between the legs. Like, great goal, highlight reel goal forever. It'll be in the top 10 forever.
A goalie / referee making a comment on the form of a Connor McDavid goal.
Listen. So Connor McDavid took his left skate off the ice when he
what
did
a
the between the legs.
scrub.
No, it's great, and half the league.
Keep
won't
your
be able
legs
to
on
do
the
it.
ground, you fucking nerd.
When comparing it to the Columbus Blue Jackets goal, that was his first game back from his collarbone injury.
Brandon Manning.
He put up 5 points that night. When comparing it to that goal, I take away style points because Connor took his left leg off the ice. If he would have had his leg planted firmly on the ice, he would have successfully did the between the legs.
So now he was balancing on just one razor blade instead of two. So he's now balancing all of his weight on one thin piece of metal.
No,
instead of two.
Rick, I'm sure we've all tried to do that move in practice and shinny on the ODR.
I do it every day.
It's so much easier to do it when your left leg is off the ice. It is.
Okay.
Because you have more room to shoot the puck.
The only difference between that goal and the Columbus goal is that the Columbus goal was an entirety of the ice movement. Like, he was from one end to the other, deking around guys, splitting the D, all that. His best goal, though, has to be the Anaheim goal,
the playoff goal,
where he stopped on a dime and then the rest of the game was still continuing as if he's skating around, and then he puts it in the net, no problem.
That was a hell of a shot. And I guarantee, I agree with you there. That was one hell of a shot. He stopped. That defenseman went right past him. See you later, pal. And went straight upstairs. But in terms of skill, last night's goal was the best.
It's the situation, though.
We got to take context into account.
It's the playoffs. That was a huge moment. I can't remember the situation in the game and off the top.
They were
of my head,
losing.
They were
at that
losing,
time.
and they were mounting a comeback.
Because the thing with this
I was
Dallas goal is it's just like a lazy late season game, and nobody was really checking him, and he kind of just glides to the net and puts
Dallas
it
is playing for their damn lives
They're in
right
the playoffs.
now.
They're fine.
They're
They're
fine.
playing for their lives.
I think when you're looking at goals, you think about, we were talking about Ovi's goal. You talk about luck. You talk about the skill, the fact that you can do it and no one else can do it, and you can talk about like the work behind it. This was more referring to Ovi's sliding on his back goal, but I think
This is way better than Ovechkin sliding on his back goal. The sliding on the back goal is not even Ovechkin's best goal.
But you can't disagree with the point that you would give more skill points to Connor's goal last night if he had his left leg planted on the ice.
No, yes, I can.
No.
I absolutely can.
Yeah,
I think
The
this is.
thought-
I think
the
this
thought
is just
never
this
crossed
is a,
my
this
mind.
Is just a goalie. This is a goalie.
Okay,
talking.
after
It's
this
a goalie
podcast,
talking.
we're going. There's sticks upstairs. We're all gonna try the in between legs move, and you're gonna see that it's much harder to pull off when your left leg is on the
Chris,
ice.
I can tell you for a fact that not once last night did the thought cross my mind that, you know what? That goal would have been that much more nice if he had kept his damn leg.
Well,
on
it's
there.
true.
What would have
It's
made
true.
the goal more nice is if A, it was in the playoffs, and B, there was more pressure on
Well,
him.
obviously.
That's what makes
Like-
the Columbus and the Anaheim goals his best two goals.
Yes.
That's what matters the most. Is it's all about doing cool shit under pressure.
And another situation, exactly, the Columbus goal being a game where he came back from injury. The league was watching, everybody was watching him, excited to see what he could do, and there he just made the entire Columbus team look pedestrian.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I would
It
rank.
has nothing to do with his
It
leg
doesn't
being
matter
up
what-
in the
he
air,
could have
though.
kicked his leg all the way up, all the way up
that's-
above
That'd be
the
harder.
crossbar.
That'd be
No,
harder.
it's
Had
not harder.
Had it
It's
behind his
easier.
head.
You have so much.
If he had put that leg behind his head, the goal would have been that much more.
You have
impressive.
so much more wrist action room to shoot the puck when your leg is off the ground.
Not
Then-
really, because your hand's already through there.
Had he not put
Yeah,
his
it is.
leg up, he's not doing the right thing for the play. Like, you want to create the most, like, what he found was the perfect middle ground between having space for wrist action to make the shot and putting the stick between his legs for the deke. And that's smart.
We're gonna make some great video content.
It was
after
the
we record
greatest
this.
goal he's scored right now. And Connor doesn't feel pressure. He doesn't know what that is.
Because he's never in the playoffs because the Oilers.
No, because when you're the top of the mountain, when you're the best of the best of the best of the best, you don't feel the only pressure he feels is from within. And he knows damn well that goal was his best so far. The only saving grace here, it'll kill the conversation. We have 7 more years. He's going to score at least 3 more better.
Only
At
7.
least 3. But if he keeps it, that's if he keeps his skate on the ice.
Yeah.
I'm going to go and throw out a different, like, I love the Columbus goal. That's my favorite Connor goal. But another one that really comes to mind is the first game of last season when he completed the hat trick against the Flames, where he flew past their entire roster and just left them in his wake, burned Mike Smith, roofed it, and just kind of like went around like it ain't no thing.
But then there's another one. It brings back the situation into the
I
conversation.
don't know.
where-
When he
Mike,
was
the
skating so
situation,
fast,
Santini?
he didn't have both of his legs on the ground when he was skating.
That's true. If he had kept both of his legs on the ground while
So when he
skated
does
that
his
fast.
power stride and he does his knee drive out, he just brings his leg off the ground. It's stupid.
You guys are just being ridiculous now.
Hey, what about the Tampa Bay goal he scored from that impossible angle? That should be up there too.
That was
on Vasilevsky.
So this
Yeah,
last
Vasilevsky's good and Tampa Bay's good too.
this last summer, I did the top 10 Connor McDavid goals of the 2017-18 season, and that was number 1.
And you picked all a bunch of goals where he's taking like wrist shots with his legs firmly planted on the ground.
I look forward to the addition that you do for this season where, yes,
This goal
this
is not
goal
included.
comes in around 9 or 10.
we can one thing we can
gets an
all
honorable mention.
we can all agree that was his best goal of this season.
Can we? Because you have been dumping on it this entire segment.
It seems to me that if we go around the table, Democracy would suggest his best goal is the Anaheim playoff goal.
No,
I do love that goal, but I don't know if that would be my favorite.
you and Dan are the only guys who think
That
that.
would
Well,
be
that's-
2 votes to
that's
1
2
vote
votes.
to 1 vote to 1 vote.
Nah,
Yeah, so that's the winner.
Winner.
All I know is that they all blend together for me. Every Connor McGoal is absolutely beautiful. I love him.
It's a fun debate to have, though.
Sure.
oh yeah,
And there's no playoffs to talk about.
exactly. Connor was
They're still in
actually
the mix. They could do it.
Connor was on fire last night. He was Deacon like threw guys' legs all night long, and just like the crowd was going crazy. And then obviously the overtime when we couldn't get Nuge, Chase on Nurse off the ice.
Well, they got hemmed.
That was a hell of a shift.
And then
Nuge was out there for like 2.5.
and then
blocked the shot.
Connor got on the ice, and everyone like breathed a sigh of relief. And then he got the puck, and like everyone got on their feet. It was great.
Well, the crowd gave a standing O for those three guys.
It was great.
To
It was
survive that.
yeah.
And it wasn't, and they didn't rely on Koskinen to have to do it too.
All I know is that the outcome from last game absolutely stinks. Fortunately, our friends at Pog, they can help get rid of all of that for you. Go on out to thepogstore.com. Get yourself a deodorizer. It kills 98% of household odors caused by bacteria and fungus. There is a portable. There is a plug-in. No matter what your situational need, you go ahead to the Pog Store. They've got a solution for you. It freshens and purifies the air naturally using the power of nature. Coom. Ozone. You love ozone.
Ozone. Smells like ozone.
It eliminates odors without the use of dangerous chemicals.
Ozone was my favorite character in Dodgeball.
Yes.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Which one was it?
Go on out to
talking about?
thepogstore.com. Check them out. Check out their 30-day odor-free challenge. Promise you, your life will smell a little bit better. Boys, I want to talk about something a little bit different. When Ken Hitchcock was hired to replace Todd McClellan in November, we were told that he was going to be around until the end of the season. Now, we've learned that he actually has a 3-year contract. What will he be doing for the last 2 years? We don't know. Dusty Nielsen on Inside the Nation on Monday, he just threw something out there. He admitted he was just riffing. Could you see a situation where a guy like Ken Hitchcock is not the coach next year, but bumped up to a place like Poho?
Oh. Actually, like a couple months ago, Dusty threw it out there that he might just become an advisor.
Yeah,
And
I can see that.
I like that much more than Poho.
I'm going to go ahead. This is my gamble. Ready? I'm going to say that the Oilers hire Chris Knobloch as their coach for next year. That was Connor's coach in junior in Erie. He has been an assistant in Philly for the last couple of years. From what I've read, from what I've heard, and people tell me, he probably deserves a chance to be a coach. However, he would be a rookie head coach. He may need a little bit of experience helping him out, guiding him along, showing him the ropes. Ken Hitchcock, third winningest coach of all time, could be that guy, Coom, possibly. I see the Squire. He's sneaking out. He's got a fresh Oilers jacket on. It is a very nice, bright orange. If you see a man from space, it's probably Jay cruising around in either A, the Nation truck, or B, that fresh jacket he's got on right now.
That was
He's
well
looking
said.
sharp.
I loved the suggestion of Ken Hitchcock as a Poho. I think we can agree right now that Bob Nicholson doesn't know how to handle people.
He's a brand guy. He's a brand guy. He's here to run the OEG brand,
100%.
and that's cool. He needs to do himself a massive favor,
100%.
a Poho, and I think maybe there's some better options out there. I just don't think Hitchcock is a horrible idea as Poho.
I love the way he's handled the media perfectly. He's got them eating out of the palm of his hand this year. Anytime he speaks, we all listen.
He's a PR wizard.
Because he's a smart guy. He knows what he's talking about.
He's been doing that to us for years. He used to play with Dallas, and they'd interview him. We'd have seasons worse than this, and he'd be like, well, you know what? We got to worry about this team. This team's a really good team. And he'd sit there and pump our tires in front of the cameras, and all the scribes would sit there and write these down and kind of get a chuckle about it afterwards, because you know damn well he went back in the dressing room and he talked to look at Darian Hatcher and Sergei Zubov and Mike Modano, and they had a chuckle because they knew damn well if it wasn't the playoffs, they were going to walk all over us.
I like the idea there. The only thing that the knock that against him that would worry me is he was heavily involved with the Brandon Manning transaction, apparently, and the Petrovic.
Do you mean the Brandon Manning transaction that sees him playing only 6 games in the Bakersfield Condors, despite the fact that he was sent down 2 months ago?
Not that one, but getting him in the first place. Yes. So
that Brandon Manning.
I'm not really a fan of bumping Hitchcock up to the Poho or GM role or anything, given that he has no actual experience doing that. He's, I don't want him involved in transactions and that kind of thing. I think he's great to have in the organization under like player development or that kind of category. like where teams are always throwing like random former players, like, oh, Mike Sillinger is the director of player development for Team X, Jason Smith, whatever. Like, throw him in that kind of role where if you have a rookie coach, he can be in the mix, give some advice.
Yep.
Do that kind of thing.
That's what I see too. I want to bring up, since we're on the topic of Poho, Elliot Friedman this past week said that Bob Nicholson is interested in bringing in Mike Gillis for an interview as a president of hockey operations, though there are others in management that are vehemently opposed to the idea because Mike Gillis was Michael Nylander's agent during that fiasco in 2007. Now, if you're a mathematician like myself, you can take out a calendar, you can look that as 2019, you can subtract 2007 from that. You see there's 12 years there, Coop.
Yes.
If you don't remember, Michael Nylander was apparently had an agreement in principle to come to the Edmonton Oilers as a free agent. He did not. He went to Washington. He disappeared under the rock of obscurity very shortly after. Now, does it make sense to have a grudge for 12 years?
No. And who was the GM at that time? And who were we told is not involved in hockey decisions anymore?
Peter Chiarelli.
No. It was Kevin Lowe was the GM at that time, and we have been told many, 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 many times that he is not involved in hockey decisions anymore, and that is inaccurate.
No, it's true. He has nothing to do with hockey. He wants nothing to do with hockey. Trust me, that guy does not want to deal with that stupid shit anymore. He gets shit upon for no reason anymore. It's ridiculous. He was our second best general manager of the entire organization. However, I will tell you one thing here. I don't mind this grudge over 12 years because I am on board with watching the Eastern Conference playoff situation right now, and I am begging and praying Carolina loses and gets knocked out, and for one reason only, and that's 2006. That's 13 years, and I still have a grudge, so no problem. Go ahead. Keep that guy out of here. I have no issues with a 12-year grudge.
I think the point that Coom is making is that who else in the organization would hold that grudge?
There's Mac T's around. There's Kevin Lowe's around.
Mac T wouldn't hold the grudge because Mac T got an AHL coaching gig under Gillis when he was in Vancouver.
There you go.
I can't see that being a grudge.
Nicholson wasn't around.
No.
So, I don't know, man.
What happened?
What happened? Here's the thing that bothers me. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend that I know a whole bunch about Mike Gillis outside of he was a GM in Vancouver.
He was at the forefront of analytics when he was in Vancouver.
So, I'm not going to pretend I know a whole lot about it. What bothers me is the idea that if he could, and I don't know, legitimately be the best person for the job, he should get the job. Why are we talking about, I don't like this guy because he hurt my feelings? I don't care. I understand what Rick's saying. I still hate Carolina too. I'll hate Marc-Andre Bergeron until the day I die. However, I want to win more. I want to watch a winning hockey team more than I care about any of that stuff. I don't care about what they say about culture. I will adapt to a winning GM's culture.
Chris Pronger Poho.
Yes. Maybe can he anchor maybe the second pairing or something?
Yeah,
also?
Chris Pronger Poho / number one defenseman.
It's the same conversation we had with the Bob Nicholson comments last week. It's not about Toby Reeder. It's not about Mike Gillis. It's the underlying issues there that keep creeping up.
Whatever happened to us not trying to hire old school guys anymore? Aren't there any young up and coming guys?
The word on the street is that Mike Gillis, if he's the Poho candidate, that he's constantly evolving himself in terms of analytics and different ways to approach the game.
He was one of the first ones in the league to really dive into that stuff in Vancouver.
That's good.
And that's what he spent his time away from hockey now doing, is studying around the
So
world.
yeah,
and
if
studying
we're gonna
other
get one of
leagues and
those
everything.
whiz kid new GMs that does cool shit, then it's gonna be under Mike Gillis.
So
it's
we
not
want
gonna be
Gillis.
under Ken Holland, who's gonna come in after getting axed from Detroit so they can hire Steve Yzerman.
I'm convinced. I'm on Team Gillis now.
And like I'm saying, I don't know enough about him.
All right, let's send the facts over to the Oilers. Bob, we made a decision. You can hire Mike Gillis.
I don't know enough about Mike Gillis to say he is or he's not. My problem is if they're really holding a grudge against the Michael Nylander thing from 12 years ago, do you want to win here? Are you just sitting here glad, over the pants, handying each other because you're boys? Also,
wasn't the whole Nylander situation, it just came down to his wife didn't want to be here, and Michael Nylander was he had the contract, and then his wife said, "Look, I really don't want to be in Edmonton. I want to be on the Eastern Seaboard. They're European, closer to home, whatever, fair enough." And then they backed out of it. Like, is that really something to be angry about? Did the Oilers really even want to sign Nylander? He was fucking ass after that.
Yeah, like
That's what I mean,
in hindsight, you look at that deal, and Nylander did not do anything.
Seems to me that Mike Gillis, all that I can garner from this situation is that he did a good job as an agent working for his client. And that's all the only information here.
100%. And to me, if your agent is not willing to make those calls and those conversations for you, then I don't want you as my agent if I'm an NHL player.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Well, he at the same time he saved Nylander from Edmonton. He saved Edmonton from Nylander. So
Everybody wins.
Yeah.
So I don't get it. It's just another weird thing that I'm not really sure why that would be a point of contention. At some point, you need to build a bridge and get over it. But what are you going to do? Another thing I want to bring up. Last night was fan appreciation night. Chris, you were seeing some people that were upset about what the Oilers gave out. I saw a bunch of GCs on Twitter. You got yourself a little breakfast sandwich. Saw that.
There's flying pizza.
As you'll hear a little bit, we've got an interview coming out with our Finnish friend Larvinen coming up in the next couple of minutes. Jay won a barbecue last night, courtesy of Larvinen. What? I saw Chris was tweeting about flying pizzas.
There's flying pizzas.
What were people saying, Chris? What did they want? I know like in some markets like Anaheim, I was looking it up before we started, they give away TVs and things like that, and that's cool.
Yeah, like I just saw a surprising amount of tweets of people being like, all you could give are GCs, Oilers? Like, what the hell?
So they wanted somebody standing there with a box full of Beyond Meat and Eggers and hand them out?
No, that
They
was
did.
great.
They did give away some TVs last night. One of the things I really enjoyed was they had some kind of fitness company. They had two guys doing
Fitness.
a rowing
Apple
competition for almost a full period.
No, it was like 5 minutes to go in the first, in the second, and then they got them halfway through the intermission. So it's probably like a 15-minute type of competition.
But I love that stuff. That's entertaining for the fans to watch.
That's what they have to do every game.
And exactly, this is something that they need to learn to extrapolate on and not just have for one night.
If you do it every game, though, does it lose some of its luster?
Oh yeah, if they do the exact same thing every time, for sure it loses it. But if you
little things like that throughout the season, here and there and everywhere, more than just
ingenuity,
one game of the year.
So for people who weren't at the game, other things they gave out a bag of chips from Old Dutch at the end of the game. They gave out Oiler posters at the end of the game. The pizza, everyone got a flag on their seat. The A&W coupons walking in. They also
there were more giveaways with those little codes or whatever.
Yeah, more giveaways. They were also giving away, like on social media, if they are giving away $50 Jiffy Lube cards to everybody who guessed who scored the first goal. They had like the one shot on net in the intermission from the black blue line for someone to win like $50K or something.
Poor lady.
They had the barbecue game that Larvinen played in. You'll hear about that soon. They did a lot of shit.
Isn't that a bunch of just the stuff they always have? Like they always have the shooting game, don't they? And
I don't think so.
I got the
I've
A&W thing the last time I was there.
Yeah. One section got it.
Yeah.
But they were handing them out as you walked in. Look, it's fan appreciation. I don't know what everybody wanted. I really don't get the complaining.
I don't even know what anybody else does.
I'm glad we're all on the same page. I just want to hear you out because I was surprised that people were complaining.
It's Twitter, and it's way easier to be negative and complain than it is to be positive and give out compliments. Whatever, you know what? It was a good show. The game on the ice wasn't as great as we would have liked it, but for what they did, I was fine with. The only thing I would have done was when it came to the free popcorn, is just rent a bunch of popcorn machines and put them in different areas because it did clog up the food lines. And I'm not complaining. I'm just a little constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Put them, and you can hand them out in different areas. Make things a little bit more fluid in terms of lineups.
That was the saltiest popcorn I've ever tasted.
I didn't get any.
It was amazing.
Sounds like you're a salty fan for your free popcorn. Boom! Nailed it. Another thing, since we're talking about Oilers fans being negative, I want to talk about Oilers fans being positive. This past week, everybody knows about what went on with Tobias Reeder getting thrown under the bus. It got backed over him, then it drove over him again, and then it got backed over him, then drove over him again. However, I want to give a big credit to Oilers fans. The other night against LA, they were chanting his name. Last night, I was watching at home and I could hear it come through on TV. People cheering for Tobias Reeder when he got a chance, when he had a look, when he had a shot on net. People are getting behind this guy, and he's having the worst season of his NHL career. He's probably going to end up as a steal for somebody next year on like a 650 PTO or something. What do you think about Oilers fans cheering for Toby Reeder, chanting his name? Dan, I know you tweeted it in the first place.
Yeah, I get filled with pride with this city when we do stuff like that. It's a little thing. It's very minor in the grand scheme of things. Nobody will talk about it, in a couple of weeks' time or whatever, but it's such a special thing that Edmonton does. We get behind our guys, we recognize effort, we see a guy that's just getting slagged on. Same thing with Lucic. Anytime Lucic touched the puck in the last 3 or 4 months, especially, the Luch chants have come up.
People always cheer for him.
It's special to see, and the fans are trying, and they're doing their best for these guys.
So this is interesting. I'm totally behind on what you said, Dan. But then I think back to like when I'll never forget people booing Justin Schultz's names when they announced him in the opening lineup. But then you look at this season and we miss the playoffs again, and fans are frustrated, and Ryder hasn't scored a single goal, but everyone's like backing him up, and that's awesome. But it's so weird how it just like the tables turned.
Well, Ryder's busy doing a morning show at Hot 107, so he doesn't often have a lot of time or attempts to score goals.
But I remember a time in this city when the team wasn't as good on the ice in the late 90s. And they just didn't have as much skill, where we would give standing ovations for consistent pressure
Jim Dowd
in the offensive zone.
Boyd Devereaux.
A good shift or two would get a standing ovation from this city. So there's definitely a shift.
I think what I would say is the Oilers fans are definitely emotional and passionate, and it's a little random what we like and what we don't like. Like Chris said, we booed Justin Schultz because he was some 22-year-old who was put over his head, and now we're cheering
management
Reeder
really
he can't
screwed
score.
him.
Yeah,
because he didn't win a Norris Trophy.
What I will say is that Oilers fans get shit on by other Oilers fans for being too negative, but I think we're negative towards management. I think we're good to players. I think it's a good place to play in regards to having the fan base having your back for the most part. We do pile on guys, though, I will say.
Sure. I mean, but like, go play for the Yankees. Go play in Montreal.
Go play soccer in Europe.
And like go play in Toronto, and you're telling me that people won't boo you? Like, I mean, they got booed off in Toronto. They booed him off the ice like a couple of games after the Tavares, the Tavares thing. It's let's not pretend this is just an Edmonton thing. Real quick before we get to our sit down with Larvinen, we've got 5 games left in the Lucic goal draft. We are winding down. The games go on Saturday is Dan, then Chris, and then Coombe, then me in San Jose, and then Cam wraps up against Calgary. It looks like this is going to end at least 3-1 for Coombe. There is a lot of red in my columns here for this Lucic goal draft that kicked off on December 7th.
I have a game left still.
You've got
which one is it?
You've got Vegas on April 1st.
Cool.
I got the Calgary when we're there. I'm very confident about that one.
So, Chris, you need a hat trick against Vegas, or this is over.
I just want to get on the board here.
I would love to get on the board. I would love to get close to getting on the board.
Well, you've come in on board with me. You joined the
the Winda kid is on the board because Dan's got one. Real quick,
you don't know what it's like to feel the excitement of having a Lucic goal in your game, man. It is something else.
Yeah.
Well,
when I was at that Buffalo game, holy
in
God.
the crowd for 2 goals.
So my 3 goals, the first one was a bit of a letdown because I'll be honest, I wasn't watching the game. I was watching Bumblebee at the movie theater. But I made up for it by being in a game in which he scored 2 goals and I was on the Jumbotron.
At least you owned it. It's
sometimes you got to watch Bumblebee.
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
Before we wrap up, I want to thank Sherwood Ford the Giant. I want to thank Pog for hooking us up. I want to invite you all to join us in Calgary on April 6th. We are going down for a fan therapy season-ending party. We're going to have a great time. We're going to get a little bit silly. I also want to give a big shout out to everyone that's picked up a Keep Nuge Forever tee, as well as a free Oilers Nation tee. Help us out with those. Those are available at nationgear.ca. And then I want to leave you with our good friend Larvinen as he describes his trip so far with a group of 25 Finns that have come over to take over our city. Check it out.
Best wishes.
Shut up, team. All right, so we're here now. We've got a special guest joining us on the podcast. Jay Downton the Squire.
I am not special.
Has brought in a special guest all the way from Finland.
Hello, party people.
So Larvinen, you're here with 24 of your closest friends from Finland.
Yes.
And so why are you here? What brought you to Edmonton?
We are Finns, so we are very passionate about ice hockey, so
you're excited to be here?
Very excited. Second time, and it's so awesome. Last time I was here 2017, and my heart stayed here still, yeah.
Perfect.
I would love to give a quick background story of how we met Larvinen. As he said, this is his second time in Edmonton. So a few years ago, Jay comes running upstairs with an idea, as he always does, and he says, we need to reach out to a bunch of reporters, personalities, hockey fans in Europe. So we reached out to a bunch of people, and from that conversation, we built two awesome relationships, one with Larvinen and one with Uffe from Elite Prospects. So we invited them out here. Larvinen came out the first time with Uffe. This was last year.
2 years ago.
2 years ago already.
Yeah, it was February 2017, yeah.
He was here for the good season.
The good season, yeah. You watched the game, and then so Larvinen went home, and discussions were had for Larvinen to come back, but this time with 20 other Finnish hockey fans, and here you are.
24.
24.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the power of the internet, us just randomly reaching out to people, and here you are for a second time. It's awesome.
Yeah, actually, 2017, when I get first email from you guys, I think it was like just a joke and trash.
I remember
Ryan
that.
Prince asking
So
for money.
I actually moved the email to my trash bin, and I was like, then I was like Googling looking Facebook, the Chris name. Oh, shit. That's a real person.
I remember your hesitation. You're like, "Is this a joke?" And then we went maybe a few weeks without talking because we were working stuff out. And you emailed again, and you're like, "Chris, I don't know about this. Like, what's going on?" And here we are.
Well, it's we had the honor of being able to host you here in 2017, but just like the personality and the person you are, obviously, like a bromance is formed, and just like the energy that you brought, it was just like contagious. So we were trying to find ways, whatever path we can create to get you come back here with your crew, and now bring a crew, and just kind of like, and we'll get into it here in a little bit, but just like it's been like 38 hours or whatever since they've been here. And it's just, me personally being part of this, I've just been on like a crazy high this whole time, because these guys came here and they're just full of energy, diehard sports fans. And it just kind of shows kind of like when Larvinen was here in 2017, he was a guy we saw with like 8,000 followers on Instagram, right? And he's got a brand, but he's just creating content. And he goes back home and just continues with it. And just like this guy works with big brands in Europe. They send him to sporting events because he is the number one Finnish sports fan, period. End of story. And we saw that last night.
Yeah, it's a great point, Jay. I've also had the chance to hang out with Larvinen and his crew now for the 38 hours or whatever it's been, and it's been an exciting time. And last night, I think all of our Nation fans got to experience that. There was people talking about hearing the chants on TV coming from the crowd, and one of the biggest questions we got was, what were you guys chanting? What was the excitement that you were building there?
We call it Chiki Chaki.
Perfect. And it was
it's our Finnish national team. Like, we are always doing that in World Championships.
Perfect. And that's we need that here in Edmonton. That's the excitement that we're trying to expose the fans to. And it was so cool to watch the people around you. I mean, some people didn't get it. Some people were a little confused because here's this group of rowdy guys. We loved it. It was amazing to see.
Everyone in the building, when you guys would go do that chant, could hear it, and they would point and look, like, because I'm sitting, we're sitting across, and we have people like being like, what are they doing over there? And I'm like, oh, don't worry, it's just the Finns, like, yeah. And I'd go talk to people in sections over that I knew, and they're like, oh my god, and they knew the Finns were here. They're like, I know where the Finns are. So like, these 25 people came into the building, and took it over. Like Larvinen was on the Jumbotron like 1,000 times.
Oh my God. It was the Larvinen
He
show.
had all the Oilers activation staff doing the chant, and he's fist pumping, doing the Usain Bolt, winning contests. Like
amazing.
Like they just came in with this crazy amount of energy and just like took over Rogers Place.
I don't know if you realize how happy you guys made everybody in Rogers Place. Our Twitter mentions were blowing up last night. We were posting videos of your chants, and people were like, man, this is what Rogers Place needs. This is what Edmonton Oilers games needs to be like. And this is what every game in Europe is like for you, I bet. Hey?
Sometimes.
Yeah. So how'd you find the game last night? This isn't your first time watching a game in Rogers Place, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on the experience in Rogers Place compared to watching games in Europe.
It was something different last night because we had the Chicky Chucky there, and it's always like, let's go Oilers. So you need it. So you're welcome.
Yeah, the Let's Go Oilers chant gets old pretty quick.
And about the game, I think it was awesome because we had a big bet with one of my friends who's here that if Draisaitl will score 2 points, he will have my face tattoo in his leg. So we had high bets on that game.
Yeah.
So good.
So now, guys, we need to find a tattoo shop for Juha that we will get my face tattoo in his leg.
I think Bag Milk is on the case. He knows a very talented local tattoo artist, I believe. Oh, he is on the road, but we will find another person, and we are going to make this happen and document and publish.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I like it. The game was okay. We were leading like 2-0, but what happened then, I don't know.
That's a classic Oilers game for you.
Yeah. But we are used to it. You have, and I have already also, so it's okay.
Well, we were there to have a good time, and the one thing we got to witness was the goal. I think we can call that now. That one, the goal.
That was so nice.
Unreal.
Yeah, we're pretty excited about that. We've covered it a little bit earlier, and yeah, it's something. It was something to behold for sure. Something exciting to be in the building for.
Yeah, we didn't see that one coming.
And kind of just to, I think, to Chris's question there earlier, ice hockey, Finland, Europe, World Championships, Liga games. How does it compare to what you experience in Rogers Place?
Hey, you can drink a beer in when you're watching ice hockey because we always do it in the bar because we are not allowed to drink in the arena. We can drink it on the arena, but only in district places.
Oh, right. Yeah, you can drink in only specific areas.
Yes.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I got in trouble for that in Sweden.
Yeah.
Because I took my beer up to my seat. I didn't think it was an issue, but
so when my friends were walking to the seats and they were watching the security guard, really, you allowed me to do this? Can I bring this there to my seat? And like, yes.
Oh, that's amazing.
So that was a big shock for my friends here. So.
And then what about like atmosphere wise? NHL, Canadian NHL game versus Finnish international.
Guys, I love the Edmonton that you can wear the exact your jersey in the morning, and people don't think that you're crazy. Because if you wear it in a game days in Finland, your team's jersey in the morning, so people are thinking you are crazy. Yeah, you just put it on when you go to the match.
Oh, you should see playoffs. They don't come off for the entire time.
Yeah, the city is orange during the playoffs.
And the atmosphere, people are happy. And like I was telling my friends that raise your hand and put the high fives to the other fans and they will like hit you back. And they were like, whoa, really? They are hitting my high fives to us. So they were happy.
Nice.
And
And
so the atmosphere is nice and the fans make it like a really, really nice job there. Yeah.
I think one of the most exciting parts of the game last night, besides Connor's goal, was the barbecue competition that you got to compete in.
Yeah.
Yeah, our boy over here has got some skills.
Yeah, I told this Canadian poor guy that, I'm a fat guy from Finland and I know how to barbecue, so you don't have any chance.
Oh, he was flipping. So just to kind of paint the picture, it was Larvinen against another guy, a poor soul in the sense of having to go against this guy. And it was 2 barbecues full of pucks, and you had to flip the pucks into a tray that was like 6 feet away. And Larvinen's just like Leon dishing sauce. It's just picking these things up in just like one fluid motion, and they're all landing in the tray. The difficulty was to have them stay in the tray, but I think you won like 6-2 or something. You just demolished this guy. Yeah. So then all of a sudden, Larvinen wins a crazy barbecue.
Yeah, $1,700 Canadian dollars.
$1,700
So
barbecue.
Jay, you're welcome.
So
What, you don't wanna
I
bring that
am
back?
in the market for a barbecue, and I go see Larvinen after the game, and he's like, "Do you need a barbecue?" I'm like, "Yes." He's like, "Here you go." And then I embraced him, and I'm like, I don't know
Amazing.
how I can repay this guy, but I'll find a way.
So Larvinen, you guys are here for a couple more days.
Yes.
You're going to go see the Ducks and the Oilers game.
Tomorrow, yes.
We got more chants installed, ready to go. You got more chants
I
coming.
need my voice back, but then we are good to go.
Yeah, so we'll get you some that cayenne lemon water to kind of restore the vocal cords. But yeah, no, Saturday games, even for Edmontonians, we come up at least another level. It's Saturday night. This is our big night.
We hate Corey Perry.
So yeah, you hate Corey Perry. I'm excited to see what the crew brings together. We're going to make sure that we document it as well. Like, we caught you guys walking down the street doing the chants. Like, these guys just do like they were just doing this on their own. I was like, whoa, shit. Like, we should stop and record this. Like, this is how these guys are.
And I think
girls. There's a few girls on the trip too, which is cool.
Yeah. Hockey wives.
I think we'll try and get the nation activated. We're going to try and get people in on this ziggy zaggy.
Oh yeah, so Rogers Place heard it that was the introduction last night.
They got the taste.
Everyone who's listening to this right now, be prepared to chant on Saturday night.
Yes, 100%. Maybe we'll do a little tutorial video for everybody so they can get ready to go for Saturday night.
And just don't stop being you, man. Like, we are so lucky to have you here. Like I said, you took over the building last night.
Yeah, it's nice to have the whole city's reactions from the city, like, oh, there's the Finns from the Oilersnation's guests, so it's
We're
very
loving
nice. And first time here, you guys, you're amazing hosts, and you hooked me up in 2017, so nice. So I want to bring those feelings what I had here to my friends that I know that they're enjoying when they have good hosts and nice bars and nice food, and of course the NHL. So it's nice.
Awesome to hear.
Well, I think we should I think it should be our mission for next season. I think we got something here, right? We'll see how this goes, how everyone liked their time here, but let's bring 50 Finns next year. Let's fill a whole section. Let's do this.
So I haven't told you, but I have 5 reservations already for the next trip.
Perfect.
I love it.
Perfect. That's awesome. So Larvinen, it's been a pleasure having you on. We are so excited for what you guys have brought to the city, and we're looking forward to Saturday night.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be amazing to have you there, and yeah, thanks for coming out, and pleasure to talk to you.
No problem.
So if anybody wants to check you out on social media, where are they going to follow you?
Instagram and Facebook. So I don't use Twitter that much. So
and your handle's Larvinen 12.
Larvinen 12. Yes.
Yeah. Larvinen 12.
Yes.
Also, check out his website larvinen.com. He's got lots of merch, good looking merch, and it's just everything he's got going on in his life. All social media stuff.
I wore one of those sweaters for our Donaire review we did yesterday. We were honored to have Larvinen join us for that. That was delicious.
My! I want to have 5 more, please.
And if anyone out there this weekend, you see a Finn, high five a Finn. These guys are here. They're bringing the energy. Let's have some fun.
Thanks, Larvinen.
Thanks, Larvinen.
Jiggy joggy. Thank you, guys.